Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Matt Crofts. We're going to kick off right on 11:30. And to make sure you're in the right channel, we're talking all things Simple Fund 360 with our recent February update. Hopefully you can all hear me. I can see the participation count going up. We are going to use the question and answers. You're all on mute. So please put any comments through the question and answers checkbox, and we'll just make sure you can hear me okay. I'll just look for an okay in the questions. Okay, so welcome. My name is Matt Crofts. I'm going to take you through about 45 minutes today of all the things that have changed since our last update, really in December through the February update. And hopefully, really what I want you to get out of this is some tips and tricks, learning what's coming, what we're working on, and really how to improve your productivity in Simple Fund, which we've all got to get through. We've all got to process our funds. We've had a challenging year, and this is really to help you sort of get the best out of these new features. So thanks for joining us. This release went live last Thursday, and it's got a number of important changes. One of them, which you may not have even noticed, and we probably hope you didn't notice, was the switchover from what you know as the PLS system, the practitioner lodgement system, where you lodge all your annual returns and BASs. We switched over from the SBR1 system to the SBR2 in this release. Now, we didn't put that in the release notes because we were managing that entirely. But what does it mean? It really doesn't have much impact to you right now. You can still lodge your returns. What it really means for the future is any new forms come out a bit more frequently on the SBR2 system. So we're hoping if the ATO, and we'll talk about that later, may start doing stuff around T-bar or other things, that we can take advantage of that. Otherwise, it really makes no difference. We did have a few hiccups, just very 1% hiccups, just with some clients lodging 2017 and earlier returns. I know not many of you would be lodging that, but we did have a couple of clients. So just retry if you were. The ATO hadn't whitelisted us for 2017 and earlier. That's now working, and I was actually just told this morning we had over 1,000 lodgements. So this slide is out of date. I did this yesterday at about 6 o'clock, and we've already had another 400 lodgements on this new SBR2 system. So really doesn't make any difference. We've managed all that. One of the beauties of the cloud is all my DevOps guys stress out and get it all done, and you just continue lodging as normal. Our focus certainly continuing and in the last 2 to 3 years has been on digital. We are looking at improving the digital signing capability. I saw a recent survey by a software group that said about 11% of accountants are using digital signing now. It's quite low, but we're certainly seeing that growth continue. So we're getting feedback from you guys on what you want with digital signing, and we've added 2 new features. For those that may have skipped our previous webinars, we've got Adobe Sign, and we've also got DocuSign used in the software. So you can make use of those with your existing licenses. It does have to be an Adobe Enterprise. DocuSign, you can pretty much use any account. Adobe is a little bit fussy about using the Enterprise, which links in with our software. I should say, feel free to ask any questions. I've got Austin, Mario, and Sid listening in. So we will leave about 5 minutes for questions at the end, but feel free, if there's something I discuss like digital signing and you want some more information, I've got 3 guys in my team that are very experienced, done a lot of support on Simple Fund 360. So please feel free to ask them through the question and answer as I proceed through these. So I'll just jump into the software and just show you a little bit where that's located if you haven't seen it. You jump into reports here. You've got to select a report pack that's got something that needs signed. The operating statement, financial position don't need to be signed. But the trustee deck, trustee minutes, the annual return can all be signed. As soon as you've got that, this button appears here. Okay. Digital signing, we click on that. It then picks up the email addresses. Okay, they're stored in the contacts. I've now got this additional option for both Adobe Sign and DocuSign. And I can enable SMSF, SMS, I always get those two confused, too much in the SMSF space, SMS notifications as well. So this adds, if you put this in, you've got to put your phone number in. It's got to validate, you've got to update that. If you've stored the phone number, it'll pick that up anyway. And once you confirm, it's then going to basically send two methods of authentication. You've got to select the email, and you've also then got to select this message being a text message to put that number in. Okay, so it's an additional layer of security. And have a read up. The digital signing requirements are approved by the ATO. We've gone through this in previous sessions, so I'm not going to cover it today. This is more just the features we're adding. So you've now got that option. The other feature that we've added here recently is priority groups. Okay, again, this works with Adobe Sign and also works with DocuSign, where you can set up groups of signing. Now, this is really handy for those practitioners, and it really should be all practitioners, where you get the trustee to sign first and then the auditor. So you can build this workflow around your digital signing. So you can create group one, Ben, assuming Ben's the trustee, and let's say Jerry Springer's the auditor. I can put them into group two. So when I send this document, it's now going to ask Ben to sign that document first. Jerry won't even see any correspondence until Ben signed that. So it's a way you can build up these groupings. Now, if you've got direct access to Adobe and DocuSign, you can do this inside those particular platforms. The best thing is now you can do that inside Simple Fund 360 as well. Okay, so that's priority grouping. That is now enabled for both DocuSign and Adobe Sign. Adobe Sign, you need to do one additional setting. So this is the setting here. Take a screenshot. You can always get a recording of this video. But there's this extra setting for Adobe Sign clients where you have to go into your account setting. You need to be an admin, go into your Adobe Sign and enable allow senders to specify hybrid routing orders. A long way to say basically control the order. So you need to turn that on first in Adobe Sign before you turn it on in Simple Fund. So just be aware of that. DocuSign, as I mentioned, no changes required. Okay, the next one is really something that's been on the wish list for quite a while. Our desktop clients will be certainly aware that they've had this functionality to change the comparative year. So we've now ticked that off for Simple Fund clients, Simple Fund 360 clients. So I'll jump back into the software and just show you where that's located. So on your financials, sometimes you want to be running a 31st of March. And in that 31st of March, you want to show the prior year as 31st of March as well. So you might be running some interim accounts. So what I'm going to do is just jump into the settings area and into badges. So I'm going to select this default badge here. Can you see this option here where we can do prior year end? So I can, that financial column for the operating statement, the balance sheet, or the financial statement, P&L, whatever you want to call those financials, you've now got this option in your badges. So you can set it at prior year, or you can set it as direct comparison. So I'll set it here as direct comparison, jump into the reports. Let me just make sure I did save that. Direct comparisons in here. Drop down, save that. And jump back in reports. So up here, let's say I'm going to change that and I want to run March 2020. So that's setting it for the current financial year. And now when I run that report pack, it's effectively going to look at that badge setting, because here's my badge here, ABC Accounting. And it's basically going to show those comparatives now as a direct comparative. So it's going to show 31st of March for the current financial year and 31st of March for the comparative period. So you've now got that extra control. Okay, where it's going to control those columns here on all the financial reports that show comparatives. Okay, so quite a handy feature there in badges. We'll jump back into the presentation. But you can now save that for multiple groups, and then you attach funds to those badges. Okay, the next one, which we've really got a lot of direct feedback over the last 12 months since this feature's been out, is what we call our account view. I use this a heap when I'm processing funds. This particular feature is very useful. It's really how I do a lot. I sit between my work paper screen and my rec screen. If you haven't seen this screen, then you probably haven't been listening to our webinars, because most people that have heard me chat will certainly know this feature is something that we see a lot of value in. Okay, so what I find most useful is you might be in the transaction screen, or you might be in your report screen and running an operating statement or something like that. And you want to quickly check, you might be in the tax return. Let's just jump into the, this is how I'm normally working in 360 when I'm processing funds. And I'm in here, and then I'm looking at particular work papers, and I'm looking just to reconcile items, and I can jump quickly into the account view, and I can click in on it again. It's up here, the Excel button. And it brings up an overlay over the top. So I don't lose my spot. If I happen to be in the contribution screen and I'm reconciling that, I can drill down straight into this account view. And the improvements we've made here recently came from a lot of clients. And that was, Matt, I don't want to keep changing the page. We added this sort of page feature here in this right-hand column to try to ensure that the screen loaded fast. It's always a trade-off in the cloud. You want a screen to load very fast from development side, but you want it very practical from the accounting client side. So what we've done now is we do this quick calc, how many transactions, and we can see all those transactions on the screen. What I had to do previously was change this filter. It'll now run this filter depending on what reconciling. Let's say I'm going to reconcile the tax payable. I can jump in here and you'll see it jump to 3. Okay, so what we've done is combined speed with practicality. For the bank accounts, you can see a lot more on screen. And for the smaller accounts, we can load them very quickly. I always show the income tax payable because you can see very quickly here what your installments, what year they've got. This shows more detail and extra data that the transaction screen doesn't show. Okay, so it's tailored to each specific type of control, each type of account, I should say. So the other thing, those with a keen eye will see, we've put a running balance here as well. That was something we got asked for a lot. Very handy to have a running balance. That's why people were jumping onto the general ledger report previously to see that running balance. I don't use the GL report anymore. I just download this straight to Excel. Okay. Not going to show on my screen. It's just in full screen mode. Let's just see if I can show you quickly. No, it doesn't want to cooperate, but needless to say, that download Excel function basically exports this, what you see on screen. So it shows the running balance, and that's why I don't need to run the GL report anymore. I can just jump quick in and out of here, got a running balance, can even drop that report into here if I wanted to, just attach it. Okay, so that's really where we're sitting with listening to clients, trying to make those recs faster for you guys. New running balance calculates on the fly. The other thing that clients have been giving us feedback on is the transaction list and also transaction rules. So I'll jump back in the software and just show you, I guess, some of the time-saving features you can now do with this release. So jumping into the transaction list screen, what we've got added in is this extra filter. I think most people know this filter's here. Some people might just be searching here, but there's this extra filter where you can control what's shown in the transaction screen. And we've added a new does not contains filter. All right, so it was previously equals and contains, which is good, but we had a few clients that said, hey, I want to see all my buy sells, but I don't want to include DRPs, was sort of what they threw at us. So we can now say, okay, exclude the DRPs out of the transaction. So if I say do not include DRPs here and apply that, and then put another probably filter on top, you know, which would be really the account. Let's just grab BHP, it's always reliable. And then this can be really handy just to see the buys and sells, okay, on BHP. So if you weren't aware, that filter shows up in red highlight. You can always reset it. You can always change it, but that's the new feature. It's got this extra does not contain. And that was actually what the client wish listed, is saying, I want to see the buy sells without the DRP so I can reconcile against an external source. Okay, the other one we added was quite interesting as well. You can always get rid of these filters, so I'll get rid of that one. The other one clients wanted, and it's interesting sort of theme, that they wanted to be able to reconcile also the cells. They just wanted to see the cells only. And what we had with the units field is it only accepted really zeros, but now what you can do is you can put a minus in here. So we improved it so that I can just see maybe just the cells. So I'm putting in a minus figure here. I've got the units field, and the between is between negative. You know, you can ramp that right up if you've got massive units. And then what it's going to do is just show me the cell transactions. So you've really just got more fine-grained control over those filters now. So thanks for those clients that gave us those wish lists. Make use of them. You might find more creative uses than what I'm showing you, but hopefully you'll pick up something there where you may have learned today that you didn't realize before. Okay, so the other one I wanted to show you, just moving on, is I get this a lot when I'm speaking to clients and certainly processing myself, is how can I automate some of the rental stuff? We're always looking with ideas on how you can process a rental property faster. And this sort of came again from you guys. Okay, how about we can set up some rules for some net rental type transactions? So what I've done here is created a rule with the new functionality that was added in this release. So the new functionality is, let's say I've got net rent and you've got this regular monthly deposit, weekly, whatever it is, fortnightly, and you know roughly what sort of the gross rent is and what sort of the management fees are. So you can now basically create a rule for these rental properties, and you might find another reason for this. It might be an insurance payment split. So now you can basically set an account. All right. Choose your entity that it applies to. Generally, rental properties is just going to be the one entity, and then set up your rule like I have here with these accounts. This one's general, this one's the agent fees. You can keep adding lines here, keep adding accounts. In here, you get the idea. But now what you can do, the new feature is you can put plus and minuses in here and basically take out the net rent, gross it up, and put these percentages. Yes, it's not dollar amounts yet. That's even more mathematics. But what I'm going to show you is it's worth setting up this rule just to get the accounts created, right? Okay, you might still need to tweak the dollar amounts. You might be able to hit it right on the head with some that are very consistent. The management fee might always be 5% of the net, but you can put these figures in and save this rule. What I recommend is click this review before apply, because you want to automate it, but you can't always automate everything magically without having some sort of review process. It's always that trade-off. Do I do more journal entries at the end, or do I process it fairly automatic now and just manage it like a bookkeeper would? So because I've created that rule, when I jump into smart matching now, it's a review rule, okay? So you will see it's picked up this April rent and it said, I know what that is. You can jump in here and just see the ones that the rules have been picked up on. This is a combination of machine learning and rules, okay? This screen, smart matching, and recognize. So it's recognized these two rental payments. Okay, so it's a credit coming in, but when I click on those, what I've now got is all those accounts created for me. Okay, I'll just hide the more details panel so you get the rough idea. It's basically just grab that rental, grossed up this rent, and then basically go on and put in these debits for these two items. Now I can add another transaction and split it further. I can override these amounts and play around with them. Or I can just say, hey, you got it right. Maybe I just need to move it around a little bit and just click match. All right, that makes it so much easier than having to do that. It makes, it's a 1%er for those rental payments. You can get through the 12 rental payments a lot quicker. The next one, just go and edit it. You've got the full details, so you can put, if there's any foreign details in, just edit the amounts, add extra transactions if you want to split the rest, or set up the rules slightly different. Okay, so just recapping that. That's the rule in here. Create a new rule and basically just be able to percentage allocate and create those accounts and just set the value for the description on that, and you'll save yourself a lot of time on these rental property type funds. And hey, look, put in the questions, answers if you can think another reason to sort of use this. Rental property came to mind straight away, but sometimes insurance proceeds can be split. insurance payments between two members, might be one direct debit. You might find other reasons to use this. Okay, so keep moving on. We've got a lot of features to show you and a little bit about what's coming up. So let's just jump back. We've ticked that off. Okay, the next one I want to show you is just, again, coming from clients on our wish list, our review. We always keep track of what you guys are asking for and the feedback. And this one came back from a number of clients over the last couple of years to update the security list. So I'll just show you what we're doing here. It's a little bit in stages. And this is really stage one, is I jump into my security. I might just show you, rather than navigate through the menu, I'll just type in security screen in here, up the top. Jump into the security list. In here is all my security lists. Most of these are automated and updated, all the pricing, all included in the price of 360 if we've got any desktop clients listening in. You don't need to pay separate fees. It's all part of your subscription. And one of the challenges I'm seeing is, a lot of investors are having the same issue with trying to find any yield, any interest yield. And what has sort of been a bit of a problem in the past is trying to separate these ASX codes and the names of the securities in Simple Fund 360. And it was the same issue really in desktop as well. What I mean by that is we've added this new security description field. Okay, in here, you can now not just rely on the code. Some of you may know ANZPE means it's actually the capital notes, not some option or anything else. Now, what we've done is brought through this description from ASX listed securities, so you know it's a capital note. Now, we are going to try to make that more available in the chart of accounts and other areas, potentially the investment report. But what we needed to do is update all our history and get this extra security description through from the ASX. So you've now got this security description when you're a bit unsure whether you've got the right code. So I can see these are capital notes. Okay. You can now distinguish that. You'll see also for options and warrants that you'll be able to see their options and warrants. Okay, the other thing, if I show you just an ordinary security like ANZ, we've also just added ordinary fully paid. Now that doesn't add too much value, but hopefully you see where we're going. Hopefully we can add these into investment reports so that your financial planners or your clients will be able to see a little bit clearer distinction between what was previously only just a security name. If I add a manual one as well, you will have this functionality. As long as it's an ASX listed, it'll start showing this security description as well. So you can use that if you're customizing anything that maybe we're not supplying, and putting an extra description there as well. So just be aware of that. The other one that we've improved, and we're always constantly improving, is the corporate action screen. So we've added 4 new corporate actions. Make sure you're using this screen to do your corporate actions. Don't try to do it through like what you did in desktop where you might do buys and sell type transactions. Much better to use our wizard. And in here, I think, I'm still in this 20 financial year. Most of our clients will still be in the 20 financial year, but some of those that are processing daily, weekly, which we certainly see more of, will be processing their corporate actions almost in real time. So we've just added, if I can find it, select the next financial year. And you'll see that we've added a number of new takeovers. Probably the common ones around Magellan and the Magellan Trust, and also Village Roadshow. So I don't have a lot of time to show you how to process these, but they're pretty straightforward. We populate all the data. You're really just accepting the data and processing the corporate action. Very quick to do. So the ones we've added are in your notes. Magellan Global Trust, that was around December of 2020. The global equities takeover, the Village Roadshow and the Citadel. Okay, so they've been all put into the database, and you will see those notifications if you're processing in those 2021 years. We've added a new feed for Pelican Wealth. This takes us over the 200 mark. What I want to show you here is what we call contract notes, which is our share pack, right? Share pack, I strongly encourage you to look at it. It basically adds registry feeds and share trades. So you don't have to put your share trades through a CSV. You don't need to put them in manually. You can basically just put an email address. All you have to do is you generate an email address. You tell your client to put that email address into their online trader, and then we get all the trades. What I want to show you here is not just Pelican Wealth has been added, that just covers about 99% of the share trade market, but also the jump we've seen in the number of trades occurring. There was a massive jump in March at the start of the pandemic, and we're seeing, I've only got it up until December, but anyone that's watching the news now know there's a heck of a lot of new share traders out there. I strongly encourage you to get ahead of the curve for your 2021 year and have someone allocated in your team just to set up or spend a little bit of time setting up email addresses for your clients. It might just be a correspondence email. We've got heaps of help on this in the software, but you don't want to be processing this sort of spike and having that impact you're processing if you're not using our share pack. Okay, you're seeing year-on-year growth and also the volume jump up. So that's our share pack. Very easy to get set up on that. Just jump on our My BGL site and you can register your funds for it. The other thing we're always looking around feed management is just trying to manage, I guess, the licensing of it. We've put a lot of work in so that you can ensure you manage your costs. For the share pack, for registry, we get charged. So they charge us every time we make a request. So we've got to ensure we have that control over ensuring we meet those costs. So what we've now done is in this licensing report in feed management, I'll just jump into the software. We totally redid this screen. We've done a few webinars on feed management, but here you can see all the feeds that are running for this particular fund, and you can all see globally all your bank feeds, your share data feeds, which is registry and what I was just talking about, and you can see all the different statuses. What we've added this release was a license report with additional information on it to show the fund code. So you can run this, export it to Excel here, and it will basically show you the fund code now, because a lot of clients want to add that to billing. All right, so when you run that report, it will just have all the clients that are on it and the actual fund code in that report as well for Excel, so you can reconcile that. That was just a request from one client, so it was pretty easy for us to do. But for those that may not be aware, that's where you can see how many of your licenses is being used in that feeds management screen. Okay, and you can just save that down to Excel. Okay, next thing many clients should be aware of is we're also seeing a lot of our clients saying, Matt, You've automated the heck out of my SMSF with your magical feeds and your machine learning that you talk about. How can I even get close to automating a lot of my trusts? Now, these might be just closely held trusts that you run in the SMSF department, with the old properties sitting in them, or business real property sitting in these trusts. But it might also be you're seeing an uptake of people accumulating wealth outside SMSF. So we've been spending a small amount of resources, we're still focused mostly on SMSF, but we've also been building up our trust reporting. So this is in beta at the moment. And we've just added this new what I see as one of the big things that we added to Simple Fund 360 was the huge time saver being the create entries process. So I'll step you through this. I won't spend too much time because I know a lot of you are doing SMSF, but you want to keep, as an accountant, you want to keep abreast of what BGL is doing for trusts and also for companies and individuals. So I'll show you this fairly briefly. All right, I'm going to switch to a trust. Now I'm on the beta, all right? If you want to get on the beta, just jump on our BGL website and type in trust or type in Simple Invest and you can register for it. I switched to a trust. The whole menu changes. I've now got things like beneficiaries listed here, and I've now got this new period compliance. So this is really where we've put a bit of time into recently is, okay, yes, I can track all my investments. I can do all my same sort of logic with matching, smart matching, CGT registers, all those really time-saving features, bank feeds are all the same. But this is where it differentiates a little bit. Now, year end, I'm in a trust. I'm going to start what you'd know is probably create entries, but what you'd also know if you've processed a trust is really allocating your tax calcs and your beneficiary distributions. In this case, I've got a discretionary trust, but it'll work for unit trust as well. So we've got this wizard now where we can basically calculate the taxable income and generate the accounting profits and view the tax report. So it's this wizard-driven feature that really speeds up a lot of the processing. So it's generated the accounting profit. So I've got to trial balance stage. I've generated that. I can now do any adjustments on the fly to this accounting and to this tax adjustments. So I can add in an extra item on the fly. So this is typically where it's a tax only entry and it's not something that's covered in our transaction list that you might need to do an adjustment for. So you can put that straight into like a digital rec. And you can also add in tax adjustments as well that are outside the tax return. Things like early stage investor. These aren't these common, but we've put them in there and we'll expand them as clients demand them. But you can put these tax adjustments in as well on the fly. Okay, so you've got this beautiful tax rec that's been added. I can save and continue that. It's allocated the profits, okay? And it's distributed the accounting profits. We're also linking it to CAS, our ASIC and trust tax return solution. And then what I can do is then distribute those accounting profits to the beneficiary. Okay, so then I can post and continue with that. And ensure that I've got this wizard. Once I get through, I can view the tax reports. And we've got this new tax reconciliation report and statement of taxable income. So the same reports that you're familiar with in Simple Fund, we've grabbed those and you'll see these adjustments that I've put in straight through to the statement of taxable income. Okay, so you don't really need to relearn a new solution. It's really, an SMSF is really just a trust. but we're dealing with the tax elements and removing the member functionality, really. All right, so that's the new statement of taxable income report. You've also got this detailed tax rec. Okay, so same as what you're familiar with in Simple Fund, you've got here, and you can export those to Excel or Word as well. And then you've just got the close period. Okay, so we've just automated a lot of those processes. We're doing this for companies as well. All right, so we're not just supporting trusts, but you may have a company as well. All right, this one needs a bit of error checking, but you can create those profit allocations there as well, depreciation and losses schedule here as well. Okay, so we're building that into a wizard. You've got individuals, trusts, and companies. All right, partnerships you can just set up as either a unit trust if you wanted to, or as an individual. So you've now got that support on the beta. We've also made a couple of tweaks for our Simple Invest beta clients. As I said, register your interest on our website. Just put it in the feedback as well if you just want to register directly inside the software. We've also made these changes through to the software. We've improved the notes. This all came back from feedback. So you can generate your notes. You've got a full set of financials with your trusts and companies. Distribution recs, so all the calcs work on for a company now. Obviously, you don't get the discount on your CGT, on your distribution rec, so that's been updated, and the minutes. So we generate all the minutes resolutions. You can now see past beneficiaries. That was a wish list request, not just to see current beneficiaries, but also previous beneficiaries for those that have got changing unit holders. So that's all been updated as well. We will show you more about Simple Invest in separate webinars, so I haven't got time to show you all the features, but certainly if you're curious, let me know. For any new clients that have not used Simple Fund 360, we've just updated the Getting Started wizard. All right, it was missing a few features. We've added a lot of features over the last, 6 years almost that Simple Fund 360 has been running, and we hadn't updated the Getting Started guide for a while. So for those that are new, make sure it takes you into this entry point when you first start the software. But now we've put these links in. So to help you get started for a trust as well, you may want to have a look at this. Set up the feeds, which I was talking about before. That can help you with setting up the feeds, help and training, inviting more users, and engaging. We never used to have a mobile app, so it can step you through how to get your clients involved with their investments or accessing the investments through our mobile app. This one is a great way to get started. If you're getting data from an accountant and he won't share his Simple Fund 360 with you, which you can transfer now, and he decides he's only going to send you some reports, make sure you get the unrealized CGT report as a bare minimum from that accountant or from the client. If you know one of your clients is moving accountants, get this unrealized report, because it's a great way to get started. Is we can read a PDF, a static PDF, a photo of it even, of an unrealized report, and get it into the software. Rather than hours for a big CGT history, we can get it in minutes. So that's why we've updated the Getting Started guide. Have a look at that. It's just, I haven't got time to show you today, but it's called Smart Docs CGT, where we can read I better not mention the competitors by name, but all our competitors, we can read their unrealized reports, desktop, any of the SMSF providers, and we'll look to expand that. If you can get an unrealized report and you want us to read it, send it to me. We'll start being able to read it. This is machine learning being able to do this. It's not magic, but it's incredible stuff to get your fund up and running a lot quicker. So that's why we've updated the Getting Started Guide, a big part of it. All right, so that's getting started. Integration improvements, we've synced in a little bit better with CAS. CAS is our corporate affairs ASIC software. They do store some trust details, and sometimes you'll be putting your SMSF companies in there if they've got an SMSF corporate trustee. We've just improved the syncing between the two packages so that the middle name matches with the other name. When we first launched 360, we didn't used to have the sort of middle name, and we added it. So we've just needed to update that syncing. They will now sync better if you've got a client that is very adamant to use the middle name. So that's been an update. Where are we heading? How are we going for time? Yeah, right on time. Where are we heading? What I wanted to show you is a little bit where we're going. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but just to make sure you know we are listening, is we are working on external contributions. We've been asked a lot for this. We know the challenge for you guys is managing contribution caps when the clients have got an industry fund or something outside their SMSF. So we're working on that. We've been working on it for a few months now, but I can let you know that that is coming. So you'll be able to put any external contributions, both concessional and non-concessional. Also good if you're putting in history, you can use this for effectively setting up contribution history. There was a few workarounds, but if you're starting a new fund, but the client's got an industry fund where they had contributions, you'll be able to put those in. We'll talk about this in more detail in a future webinar once it's actually released. Everything to this point is in the software. At this point, I'm showing you what's coming just so you know what to expect. All right. So don't go looking for this in the software yet. It's in our test environment, hence the screenshots. It will be available in most likely March. So you'll be able to start tracking those, and they will update your contribution dashboards and also your cap reports. So you'll be able to keep track of those much better. Transfer balance counts. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail despite my slide, but indexation has now been confirmed. So that means two of the 360 teams are really going to have to put a lot of work starting in the next couple of weeks into managing this transfer balance account. The ATO has come out and said indexation is confirmed. So we've no longer got a 1.6 cap. We've now got, for the old people like myself, we've now got some sort of scenario like the old RBL, reasonable benefit limit, where everyone sort of gets a cap. Hey, you've got a personal cap. I won't go into the workings of it. There's plenty of webinars I've been already. It's just a proportional calc, but just rest assured, we are aware of it. We are going to start work on it. Really, the ATO has come out and said also that MyGov is the source of truth. So yes, we want to track it, but ultimately you've got to deal with the ATO. They're going to have the real personal cap. It may be wrong, but you're going to have to prove that it's wrong, or some form may have not been updated, that you can have those records, at least a secondary ledger of tracking those. And also, MyGov is not going to sync with us. We've been pushing, and a lot of practitioners have been pushing to try to get those personal caps downloaded in the software. There is no facility to do that. All right, there is no service. We would love it if there was. We probably wouldn't have to do quite as many calculations, but there isn't a service. All right, so that's what I wanted to inform you. And just watch out. It is probably the only thing that's the real sleeper is it is based on your highest T-bar. It's not based on your current T-bar balance. So if you drew down a lump sum payment recently, let's say you went up to 1.6, but you drew down 400K recently, it doesn't matter. You hit your cap at some point. So that means you have used your cap. That's the main one you've got to be aware of. So that's really the complexity of the calc, because then it means every transaction has to be monitored to really see whether you've hit your cap at the start. Okay. I don't give tax advice, even though I'm SSA and CPA. Research it yourself. I'm a software guy. Disclaimer, but look out for these. Simple Fund Desktop, it's a lot of work. So we've got to look at what we're doing in Simple Fund Desktop, and we will announce what we're doing. But certainly in 360, we will do all these calcs for you, and you'll be able to hopefully be able to manage this lovely challenge. There is a little bit of noise in the industry to say that they're going to try to simplify this before 1 July, but I'm not sure. Like we'll keep an eye on it. Sometimes those that have been around for a while will know that simplification is not always what it seems. We will be adding more information for trust beneficiaries to track all the tax difference streaming. So we'll be working on that. We'll also be working on the contribution caps. It looks like we're going to see AWOT indexation occur. We're just keeping an eye on that. SuperStream, we've got to support the new rollovers effectively from industry or back into industry. It's got to be through SuperStream Electronic. So that's going to take up a lot of our development resources. It's a very big project. And we're also seeing a lot of wish lists around documents. So we're going to do a bit of a refresh around our document screen to try to make it easier to search and find documents. So you'll see we're going through all the wish lists at the moment around our document screen. So we'll push a little bit more in that space as well. Workflow, I wasn't sure whether to show you this because I might have a few competitors in the seminar, but hey, I made the decision it's probably worth showing our clients that we will be pushing into some workflow. So we'll be able to try to track where the funds are at, whether the return's been lodged, and be able to see that in an almost stream view point of view. So this is just a mock-up, don't get too excited. But we will be pushing into workflow as well. It'll start with a version 1. And hopefully, yeah, it'll help you guys just have that little bit more control and a little bit more understanding of where the funds are up in 360. So don't expect that anytime soon, but I'd certainly appreciate some of your thoughts on workflow. So do feel free to ask us questions. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for your time today. Very appreciative. Hopefully you've learnt some tips and tricks around what we're doing and how we're trying to make your life that little bit easier. We'll really finish the official session here. I'm just going to jump through and have a look at some of the questions, but I know you've all got plenty of work to do. So if you want to hang around and just listen to me answer a few questions for the next 5 minutes, jump in and I'll go through them. Thank you very much for your time today.